28 characters, one ranking, and a rule that's about to make some of you furious. We are not ranking by fame. We're not ranking by laughs. We're ranking by something much harder to fake: structural necessity. If you pulled this character out of the show completely, would the whole system keep running, or would something actually break? Stick around for number 7. It's going to surprise you, and stick around to the very end too. There's a reason a few of your favorites aren't on this list, and it's not because we forgot them. Let's start at the bottom of the barrel. Number 28, Pops, the doorman who checks in guests backstage. One job. Any other tired old Muppet in a uniform could do it identically, and nobody backstage would even notice the swap. Number 27, Marvin Suggs, the man who built an instrument out of live, squeaking creatures and plays it by hitting them with a mallet. That sentence alone tells you everything. Strange premise, one joke, done. Number 26, Dr. Strangepork, the incompetent, money-hungry scientist from Pigs in Space. His entire job is making Link Hogthrob look slightly less ridiculous by comparison. Slightly. Number 25, Link Hogthrob, the vain, dim-witted starship captain. Funny in the moment, but the joke is the archetype, not the character underneath it. Number 24, Lou Zealand, a man whose entire identity for decades is throwing boomerang fish at people. The act never changes. The seasons go by. He's still doing it. That kind of stubborn consistency earns him exactly one spot above the bottom 5. No more. Number 23, wait, did somebody say boom? Crazy Harry, the demolitions expert whose entire existence is a trigger word away. Say explosive, say dynamite, sometimes just say the wrong noun in the wrong sentence, and he appears, repeats it back as a question, and blows something up every single time. It's less a character than a reflex with a plunger box, and somehow that's exactly why he works. Number 22, the newsman. Every single broadcast ends badly. For him, personally. That's the whole bit, and it actually works because the irony lands on his own head, not someone else's. Small role, real joke structure underneath it. Number 21, Beauregard, the stagehand who causes chaos without ever meaning to. Charming. Also completely interchangeable with any other accident-prone background Muppet you could name. Number 20, Annie Sue, Miss Piggy's younger, more talented understudy. The one guest pig who actually scared her. Real dramatic potential. The problem is, she shows up in season 3 and never gets the screen time her premise deserves. Number 19, George the janitor, practically a main character in season 1. He's in almost every episode, mop in hand, complaining about everything. Then season 3 happens, Beauregard takes his broom, and George quietly disappears for decades. He's back now in the 2026 special with his first line of actual dialogue in a generation. That's a real comeback. It's just not enough of a presence across 5 seasons to rank any higher than this. Number 18, Rizzo the Rat. He doesn't show up until season 4, sneaking through the background of a Christopher Reeve episode, mugging at the camera before anyone even gives him a name. By the time the show ends, he's a fixture, late arrival, immediate scene stealer. Number 17, Camilla the Chicken, Gonzo's longtime companion, introduced a few seasons in. Her entire relationship with Gonzo is built on one joke, a man who loves a chicken, played completely straight, but that joke never stops being a little bit beautiful. Number 16, Wayne and Wanda, the lounge singers who never once finish a song before something terrible happens to them mid-performance. Strong running gag. The problem is that's all it is. They don't exist outside the bit. Number 15, Robin the Frog, Kermit's nephew and the only Muppet on this entire show who can crack Kermit's professional composure just by walking into a room. That's genuinely meaningful. It's just not enough screen time to outrank what's still coming. Number 14, Uncle Deadly, the old horror actor monster who represents the classical theater the Muppets elbowed aside to exist. Great concept on paper, underused enough that the show's identity doesn't actually depend on him showing up. Number 13, Sweetums, the towering full-body monster with the heart of an overgrown puppy. Technically remarkable, there is a human being fully inside that costume sweating through every take, but narratively, he's one joke, performed extremely well, over and over. Number 12, the Swedish Chef, possibly the most quoted Muppet who has never said an actual word in any actual language. Iconic, yes, completely. Structurally necessary to how the show runs, no. cut the cooking sketch entirely, and the engine doesn't even hiccup. We just crossed the halfway mark. Here's where the easy cuts end and the real arguments start. Number 11. Scooter, the backstage assistant who only has this job because his uncle owns the theater. Here's what people miss about him. Scooter isn't comic relief. Scooter is the reason there's a building to perform in at all. Take away the nepotism, take away the gatekeeper, and the Muppets are doing this show on the street. Number 10, Sam the Eagle. The only character in this entire cast with an actual functioning moral compass, and he loses every single time without exception. Remove him, and there's no tension left between order and chaos. There's just chaos, uncontested. Number 9, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. Now, you might expect Bunsen to rank right next to his lab partner. He doesn't. And here's why. Take Beaker out of the equation, and Bunsen is just a scientist who never learns from his mistakes, repeating the same blind, cheerful recklessness experiment after experiment. The joke needs a victim to land. On his own, Bunsen is closer to Dr. Strangepork than he is to greatness. Number 8, Rowlf the Dog. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why does Rowlf rank this low? Because for almost a decade, the show's own family kept him deliberately silent. After Jim Henson died in 1990, Rowlf, the character closest to Henson's own personality by his own son's account, was retired out of respect. No new performer, no new lines, just occasional silent cameos for nearly 10 years before Bill Beretta slowly brought him back. That silence still shapes how people remember him today. Take away that decade of enforced quiet, and Rowlf is almost certainly ranking higher than this. As it stands, no ambition, no agenda, just quiet observation from the piano bench, partly by character, partly by circumstance. And here it is, number 7, the one we told you to wait for, Beaker. He has no real lines. His entire vocabulary is one syllable repeated at different levels of panic. Every experiment Bunsen designs runs straight through him. Every invention explodes in his face, and Bunsen gets the credit while Beaker gets the burns. And somehow, this is the most loved Muppet ever put in front of a camera. Why does a character with this little dialogue outrank Sam the Eagle, Rowlf, and his own boss? Because everyone has been Beaker. Everyone has done the actual work while someone else did the talking and took the bow. He doesn't need words for that. His shoulders just sag a little more every episode. That's not comic relief. That's the emotional core of the entire show, hiding inside a lab coat. Told you 7 would surprise you. Number 6, and this one earns every second we're about to give it because splitting this entry up would be dishonest about how it actually works. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Dr. Teeth, the showman, the top hat, the gold tooth, the voice that holds the band's identity together, and the character who appears in more episodes than almost anyone else in this entire ranking, season after season without ever needing a spotlight moment to justify it. Floyd Pepper, the bassist with zero ambition and zero stress, who somehow holds the whole group together without ever asking for credit. Call him the anti-Kermit, navigating chaos with a bass line instead of a clipboard. Zoot barely speaks, mostly radiates mood, the atmosphere the band runs on, the quietest member of arguably the loudest band on television. Janice, the one consistently mellow voice in a cast full of noise, the closest thing this show has to a normal person, except her normal is being permanently, unshakably chill in the middle of a circus. And Lips, yes, he's in here too, the trumpet player who joined in season 5 and has been quietly, harmlessly present ever since. Nobody remembers a Lips solo. That's fine. Not every member of a band needs to be the reason it works. But there's a problem with stopping there, and the problem is one specific member of this band, Animal. Animal doesn't fully belong in a group entry, and here's the proof. Season 1, Episode 5, Rita Moreno is singing Fever, and Animal starts throwing in drum riffs that have nothing to do with the song, building until he completely drowns her out. She ends the number by slamming his head between two cymbals, and he comes to muttering that she's his kind of woman. That's not a band moment. That's one creature hijacking the entire performance. And it wasn't a one-time thing. By season 5, episode 22, Animal is going drum for drum against Buddy Rich himself, one of the greatest drummers alive, in a real structured duel. 2 different seasons, 2 completely unscripted feeling explosions, both belonging to him alone. If we're being honest about structural necessity, Animal isn't just 1/6 of a band entry. Animal is pure chaos energy with a pulse. Proof that the show's own structure can survive being detonated from the inside season after season. He just happens to also play drums for a living. So, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, 6th most necessary system on this entire show. 6 musicians, 1 identity, and 1 member who's quietly operating several levels above the rest of the group. Number 5. Statler and Waldorf. The 2 old hecklers in the balcony who hate the show and have never once missed an episode. They're the original comment section, decades before comment sections existed, and more importantly, they're the only outside perspective the show has on itself. Remove them, and the Muppets lose their only mirror. Number 4, Fozzie Bear, the comedian whose jokes do not land ever on this show, and who keeps walking back out there anyway, week after week. Fozzie isn't here to be funny. He's here to be brave about failing in public, on purpose, in front of an audience that includes 2 men paid to mock him from a balcony. Take him out, and the Muppets lose their most human quality, the willingness to be bad at something and keep going. Number 3, Gonzo the Great. Every single episode of this show, for 5 straight seasons, opens the exact same way. After the theme song, Gonzo appears alone inside the O of the Muppet Show sign, trying to play 1 trumpet note. It never works the same way twice. It explodes, it sprays water, it produces a balloon that pops in his face. Week after week, season after season, Gonzo opens the show by failing at the smallest possible task in front of everyone. And that's before he's even gotten to the daredevil stunts that almost killed him on purpose. Add Camilla, his chicken girlfriend, played completely straight as one of the show's only stable romantic relationships, and you get a character who is simultaneously the show's most reliable professional failure and its most quietly devoted partner. Gonzo doesn't break the 4th wall for a joke. He lives inside the break, 1 failed trumpet note at a time. Without that proof sitting right there in the cast, the whole show gets safer, smaller, and a lot less interesting. Number 2, Miss Piggy. There's an episode that proves something almost no other character on this list could survive. Kermit actually fires her. Guest star Loretta Sweet steps in to play her 2 signature roles. Nurse Piggy in Veterinarian's Hospital, First Mate Piggy in Pigs in Space, and does it well. The sketches still work, the jokes still land, and it doesn't matter, because Miss Piggy isn't a role that can be recast from the outside. She watches someone else succeed at her own job and can't stand it, storming the set to take her place back by force. That's the real range on display, not just nurse, diva, and space officer in different sketches, but a character who can watch a perfectly good replacement and still refuse to be replaced. Every other character on this list tries to fit into the system. Piggy bends the system until it fits her instead. And apparently that's true even when someone else is doing her job better than expected. That friction, diva against ensemble, ego against order, was never a flaw in how this show was built. It's the engine room. And number 1, because of course it is, Kermit the Frog. Not the most beloved, not the funniest, by a wide margin he isn't, and the show knows it. Kermit is number 1 because he's the only character holding this entire chaotic system together while constantly, visibly threatening to fall apart himself. Pull Kermit out of the Muppet Show and there's no show left to rank. There's just 27 other characters with nothing left to orbit. That's the list. 28 entries, 1 impossible question running underneath all of it. Not who do you love, but who can this system not survive without? Now, before you head to the comments, yes, we know Pepe isn't here, Bean Bunny isn't here, Clifford isn't here. That's not an oversight. This ranking covers the original series, 1976 to 1981, start to finish. Those 3 came later, years later, in some cases decades, and they'd need their own ranking on their own terms, not squeezed into someone else's list. So if you made it this far and you're about to type, "Where's Pepe?" we see you, and honestly, we respect the commitment. And one more thing before this one ends. This is one ranking by one specific measure made by us. There are dozens of Muppets we couldn't fit into 28 spots today, and that's not because they don't matter. Every single Muppet who's ever walked across that stage earns their place in this world. They're part of what makes this whole thing so wonderfully colorful. This list isn't the final word on any of them, it's just where the conversation starts. So tell us where we got it wrong. Tell us which one of these you'd move and to where. And if there's a character on this list whose story you want to go deeper on, animals drumming alone could carry an entire video. Let us know in the comments. That's how we decide what comes next.